Has your TikTok got worse? Has your For You page got worse? Is TikTok worse than it used to be? We've looked into it, and the answer is complicated. So we're going to get into it right now on Scroll Deep, the show that keeps up with internet nonsense, so you don't have to. So TikTok's been around for a good few years now. Fair to say it's done pretty well. Made quite a lot of money, become incredibly dominant in the social space, kind of in every space. It is like the #1 app for Gen Z. The US government is terrified of it, usually a good sign. The US government fears anything it cannot control, like TikTok or me. But have we passed the heyday of TikTok? Is it not as good as it used to be? Well, there's a few little things that get under people's skin that make them say it's worse, and we're gonna run them down and try and analyze if it is worse, if it's better, if it's the same, if it was never good, if it was always good, and another one. So the first thing that people have been complaining about lately is TikTok Shop. Now, if you've been on TikTok for more than 5 minutes, you're gonna be aware of this. It's the inbuilt QVC function on TikTok.
This has got a toughened screen. Oh, I've broken it.
In a video, a person can either completely deliberately advertise a product to you, or they can just kind of incidentally have a little product linked. Most of the time, these products are I guess what we would call crap or garbage. Not always, but a lot of the time it's like, do you want to buy 500 packets of ramen noodles for £18.67? And the answer I would say usually is no. My favorite genre of, because there's some creators who their whole thing is that they just sell stuff on TikTok Shop. And you know what, get that bag. But they've got all these little techniques they use, and my favorite one is, I think there's one guy especially who always does this, where he's like, someone at the noodle company is gonna get fired for this deal, as if they've like accidentally done the price wrong.
Someone from the noodles company is going to get fired because these viral TikTok noodles are going crazy.
But he does it every time. He's like, someone at the tent company is gonna get fired for this. You know, it doesn't matter how specific also, it's all made in like the same 3 Chinese factories. So it's not like, I don't think anyone's getting fired. Also, I don't want someone to get fired from the noodle factory. I don't want someone to go home with their briefcase full of loose noodles to their wife and be like, I got laid off from the noodle factory today because TikTok Shop did a deal wrong. I don't want that. I don't want any of it, really. That was a sad northern man. They closed the noodle mine this morning. Those were good lads down. He's got like noodle on his face instead of soot. Good lads down those mines. But oh, you say, Benedict, there's been TikTok Shop for a while now. What's different? Well, the frequency, the sheer volume of TikTok Shop seems to have increased because TikTok, as opposed to say YouTube, is a lot less advertising heavy. You may not think it is, but it really is. You go on YouTube and it is just so many ads, so many unskippable ads. TikTok has a lot less of that, but they have to make money some way, and TikTok Shop seems to be the way they're doing this. But that does mean that like every second TikTok now is someone trying to sell you this incredible backless dress. And I can only buy so many of those at this point. You also have the problem of SponCon, and look, I do a few brand deals myself, so I'm not going to speak so badly about it, but I think attitudes generally have changed about advertising. You know, back in the day, if a creator posted an ad, they might have faced some hostility. Now there's a bit more transparency about the way the internet works. Like audiences understand that ads are how creators get paid, and if you do a good job making the ad, then people might even like it. You know, there's a bit of a like get the bag attitude people have towards that. But the problem is, I think for legal reasons, the way TikTok labels ads, they put this like giant banner at the bottom of the video that's like, this is an ad, which just makes it unbelievably easy to skip. So if you want people to watch your ad, they're not gonna. And then also, it makes you more aware of when you're being advertised to, I think, because it's got this big old label to it. I think what they should probably do is completely not disclose that it's an ad at all and sort of stealthily advertise to people. And I believe that's what the ASA suggests. There's also broadly, I don't know if TikTok falls into this, but there's this concept people are talking about called enshittification, which you may have heard of. It's a phrase that was coined by Cory Doctorow or Doctorow. Either way, I'm probably going to get it wrong. And it sounds like a broad term of like, oh, everything's getting worse. But it's actually quite a specific circumstance where companies will basically, specifically tech companies, will take their products and their platforms and then just kind of steadily make them worse in order to maximize profit. Like, where have you heard that story before? It's a classic capitalist tale. He said, quote, here's how platforms die. First, they're good to their users, then they abuse their users to make things better for their business customers. Finally, they abuse those business customers to claw back all the value for themselves, then they die. This is called enshittification. And we've seen this process happen quite a few times where, you know, the people behind these businesses don't really care if they're good or bad, or if they even fail. They just care how much money they can squeeze out of it. Now, sometimes people apply this to TikTok. I don't think TikTok is anywhere close to being in this process or actively trying this process. I think TikTok wants to be alive and wants to thrive and wants to make money in like an active way. I also think because TikTok gets so much funding, possibly from the Chinese government, it doesn't need to just harvest money in that kind of stock market way. And hey, I have to say, as someone with a popular TikTok account, I love the Chinese government. And I think they should be able to do whatever they want. I think there's also a lot of things that are attributed to TikTok, which are not necessarily TikTok's fault. Like I see a lot of people, particularly people who are not on TikTok, who blame it for like short attention spans and like videos with loads of quick editing and all that stuff. And like, yes, admittedly, the ability to flick through videos and watch like 100 in 10 minutes. Like I understand how people could argue that's bad for the attention span, but I mean, Vine invented that. Like TikTok didn't invent that.
Look at this graph.
And also that super crazy like ADHD editing style, that came from YouTube. That came from my lost twin brother, Mr. Beast. He was the guy who had the policy of cutting every 1.5 seconds, which I don't know if that's like the ultimate thing that separates generations, is whether you can like withstand that editing style. But like I cannot watch that without like feeling sick. That's like putting me in one of those like G-force machines that astronauts do. But presumably if you put a 3-year-old in front of that, they would just like absorb it and just get stronger. But speaking of YouTube, we all know about YouTube's infamous unskippable ads. TikTok recently seems to have suddenly had unskippable videos. Now this is almost certainly something that's wrong. They're basically just videos you come across in your For You page that you just cannot skip past. And sometimes they have a message like, you can't skip past this, and you can't. I guarantee TikTok is not doing that deliberately. They do not want you to stop scrolling. That's like their whole thing. But we are probably going to get to a point eventually where they're going to have to put more ads in the feed, and they're probably going to be unskippable. And that's just like the inevitability, because they don't pay creators as much as YouTube does, and you cannot pay people without ads. So it's gonna happen. And at that point, people are really gonna be like, TikTok's got worse. But it's gonna happen. But also, people love doing this. People love saying things used to be good. People love looking at their watch and going, what was exactly 5 years ago? And then saying that that was the best time ever. The amount of people I see who are nostalgic for 2016, one of the worst years that ever happened. A year that was so bad that when we were in it, everyone was like, man, this year fucking sucks. That never happens. We were like 2 months in, every celebrity had died. We had Brexit, we had Trump. I mean, maybe if you love Brexit and Trump, it was a different year for you. But for me, not a great year. The mood was bad. Even if you're like a pro-Trump guy, the general mood was low. People online were at their most combative, their most trolly and angry. Like, there was a lot less moderation on social media even then, I feel. Like, people were really coming for each other. It was a bad vibe. And now you will see people who are like, man, 2016 hit different. Pokemon Go, wasn't it great? It's like, no, it sucked, it was bad. But they're saying that because they were 10 then, and that's fine, because everything's great when you're 10. Like, people do it about the pandemic. People are like, yeah, TikTok in 2020, that was the best. No, it wasn't. There was like 3 videos that everyone just made over and over again. It was that song that's like, don't stay awake for too long. Make a cup of coffee for your head. That one. There was that. There was like the Renegade, the Doja Cat song. That was it, right? No one else was doing anything else. There was no long videos. It was just that stuff over and over again. And everyone's like, that was the heyday. It wasn't, because there was no scroll deep. We have also seen the rise of more like AI generated videos. Like there's those videos that just take Reddit comments and then like auto generate them into videos. Although I do think TikTok has taken some pretty good steps quite quickly to try and curb that. Like it will put a little banner on a video if it has any AI content in it. And you have to self-declare, and if you don't self-declare, TikTok will punish you. Because I don't think they really want AI-generated slop on the platform. They want nice human-generated slop. There's also such a culture which you see, but it's not just TikTok, you see everywhere now of these people who are like, not only trying to get like passive income from videos, but are trying to like make passive videos. Like they just go, crop other people's videos, post them, they'll just like act, their whole thing is that they steal other people's videos. Or, we've already covered it, but Kwebbelkop, that YouTuber who makes Minecraft videos where the voice is AI, his face in the corner is AI, I think the gameplay itself is AI, and he's constantly tweeting like, he's Dutch, he's like, we've made it even more AI. And it's like, no one wants this. This is like the most unwatchable content there can possibly be. And he's like, this is the most crazy AI ever made. You watch this video for like 3 seconds and you're like, what is wrong with this strange disembodied face that doesn't move properly? But no one wants to watch this stuff because there's no human soul in it. You know, someone doing the Renegade, there's soul in that. But an AI watching itself play Minecraft, that's just nothing. But like I said, that's not TikTok's problem. I think sometimes people attribute broad trends in social media and video to just TikTok, but that's just a sign, I think, of how dominant TikTok is in the space. Like, no one's like, oh, there's so many AI videos on Instagram Reels, because the only people who watch Instagram Reels are people who aren't on TikTok, who watch TikToks 5 months after they come out on Instagram Reels. I think there's a lot of stuff that TikTok gets really right as well that it maybe doesn't get enough credit for. Like, I don't understand how TikTok comments are as good as they are when YouTube comments, for like years, it was a joke how toxic YouTube comment sections were. And Google, like one of the most powerful companies in the world, could not figure out how to make their comment sections not even good, just less like death threat heavy. And they still haven't really fixed that. And yet TikTok, I don't know how, not only are the comment sections like generally quite pleasant, safe places to be where you're not gonna see like offensive stuff, they're also really funny and really good at highlighting like genuinely witty, funny replies. And like generally the discourse on TikTok, I find, unless you're watching like, I don't know, some really weird niche stuff, the discourse is pretty safe and like non-stressful. Like TikTok is an app you can go on where you're not gonna feel stressed. Like Twitter, like opening Twitter is just like being punched in the face 5 times. Like Twitter is like smoking, where it's like you're getting nothing good out of it, but you can't stop. And it is slowly killing you. But you started when you were young, and now you can't, you know what I mean? But like TikTok is, you come away and it's okay, maybe you feel like you've wasted a bit of time, but it's a generally positive, or just neutral experience. Also, there's some like useful educational stuff on TikTok. Like, okay, yeah, there's some misinformation on TikTok, but you know, there's misinformation everywhere on social media. That's what this show is built on. But you can learn some really interesting stuff. There's like some real proper nerds who know what they're talking about, who will tell you about like the origins of the Sumerian language, and you can sit and watch that for 10 minutes if you want. It's all there. And I think as an education tool, and actually as a search engine, TikTok is really interesting. Like Gen Z, more and more are using TikTok as a search engine more than Google, mainly because Google just doesn't work anymore, because Google will just give you whatever answer paid the most to be at the top of the page. So you'll be like, do wolves have 4 legs? And it'll be like, wolves are one of the most popular animals on the planet. I met a wolf once, and it'll be like 15 paragraphs, and at the end it will try and sell you a VPN or whatever. Whereas, you know, if you type in cool restaurants near me into TikTok, it will just show you videos of restaurants near you. Pretty useful. Don't really remember what my point was there originally, but I guess because it's been so successful and it is so dominant, people don't bother to talk about the positives anymore, because it's like, well, it's already won. It's like, why give it more medals? That being said, you know, you would have said Facebook had already won like 5-6 years ago, and now I don't think I've been on Facebook in literally years. So it's interesting how things change, and I would love to know what the #1 social media app will be in like 2030. It will be something we've never heard of. It'll be Snapchat too. They're coming back, baby. I think there are some positive things, and it's interesting watching this giant dominant thing evolve in front of our eyes. Has it got worse? I would say no. Will it get worse? Probably.
When will it get worse?
Will you get worse? Maybe. Then will you get worse? But what do you think? That's the main thing. This is a discussion video. Let me know in the comments down below. How long have you been on TikTok? Do you think it's got worse? If so, why? Do you think it's got better? Do you think it stayed the same? Do you regularly use other social media apps? All the other big ones like Instagram, Global Player, Facebook? Are you using these world-spanning apps, Snapchat, Tumblr, Global Player? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, because I feel like we do get some quite nice, see, that's the thing, we get some quite nice discussion in our Scroll Deep comments. People have quite a nice, civil, interesting discussion. You don't get that in other places, apart from Global Player. Do I have comments on Global Player? Probably not. Till next time, I'll leave you with our famous catchphrase. Oh my God, someone from the Scroll Deep factory is gonna get fired for all this great content that's been delivered for free. Or mainly for the Global Player comments, actually. But bye.